Hi, I'm Christina Rodenbeck from the Oxford Astrologer, and I'm here with my friend Sally Kirkman from sallykirkman.com, and we're going to talk to you about Sagittarius.
Yes. The big planet. That's Jupiter, ruled by Jupiter, the big planet. And there is this kind of bigness about Sagittarius. Sometimes they're literally big. Sometimes they're literally really tall, huge, tall people. But there is this bigness, big personalities. I mean, I have a lot of Sagittarian friends, and they can bounding in, full of life and energy and enthusiasm. And take over. But yeah, there's this, they just, they're best. They're kind of, here I am. Wow, what are we doing? Let's all have an adventure. That's kind of, that for me.
They're enthusiastic. The enthusiasm of a Sagittarius who's feeling good. I mean, when they're feeling depressed, that's another thing. But when they're enthusiastic, they are enthusiastic, and they can go further, think more, have wilder thoughts than any other sign. This is the sign of the philosopher. It's a sign that is signified by the centaur, which is half beast, half horse, half human, and often it's another one of these signs. It's actually often very athletic.
Absolutely. Rules it's the size.
So long distance runners,
skiers and horse riders, and long distance runners.
And they can, so not only can they think far, they can run far. And it also travelers, it's the sign of traveling. So those people who, feel more comfortable somewhere between Istanbul and Timbuktu in the air are Sagittarians. They love that, the journey, and they're much less comfortable with the settled place. Because this is mutable as well. They're a moving sign.
And I think of them as real kind of global characters who, they just want to see everything. They want to explore everything. And they are very often real free spirits as well. Very kind of open-minded free spirits, and they just want to sort of explore and experience everything around them, and in all kinds of different ways too. They're often real seekers of the truth, I think.
I would say they're looking for a philosophy, which is slightly different from seeking the truth, which I think is the Scorpio thing. I think they're looking for systems and systems of thought and philosophical systems. They're looking for information. They're looking for gurus, or they want to be a guru. That's the other thing. So they're they're looking for patterns and information in a way that is different from how Scorpio is looking for the truth.
Okay. Maybe the word is, because I do see them as a maybe the word's justice.
Oh, that's true.
I think of justice as a very Sagittarius word. They're often very interested in what's fair and what's not. I see that as really, and they're often key players in the law as well. They have a real interest in the law too. So, but I think, truth. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, like I said, it's more philosophical and less emotional. Really.
Yeah.
And, it's important that they're one of the mutable signs. Their opposite sign is Gemini, which is, these are the information signs. So where Gemini is looking for like those details as a factoid person and loves just knowing a lot of stuff. Sagittarius is looking for knowledge in a different way. So, they may be off studying Tibetan Buddhism in the Himalayas or something, which you wouldn't necessarily find a Gemini doing. You might, but less so. And Sagittarius are mutable. So this is a sign that's going from autumn into winter. And they're also the first sign, and I think I find this quite interesting. It's the first sign that's like it's a mythical beast. It's not a real, there aren't centaurs. So we're entering the realms of the collective imagination as we go into this time of the year, into Sagittarius.
Interesting.
What's the shadow, Sally?
Well, I'm not really on the shadow at the moment. I'm kind of thinking what you're talking about is very sort of philosophical, more spiritual, more sacred, all of that side of them. But also I just wanted to add that they can be complete and utter hedonists.
Oh yes.
You know, there's a side, they can be hedonists, and also I think there's they make extremely good entrepreneurs.
Oh, the best.
So there's, you know, and that's in the material world.
Yes.
So there's these different aspects of Sagittarius as well. And I think, you know, at their best, again, they take on all those qualities of Jupiter, that's anything is possible. If they have incredible sort of self-belief, belief about what they're doing, willing to take risks, big vision, things happen. And they can be incredible. I mean, they can make huge amounts of money and be very entrepreneurial in the real world too. So I'm considering these different aspects of Sagittarius too.
The other thing, I had a client who was an entrepreneur in the drinks trade, which of course drinking is kind of associated, the centaurs used to get very drunk, but drinking and hedonism is associated with Sagittarius. And I think you can connect that in a way, because it's about they kind of like to get off their heads or out of their heads. So taking a lot of drugs, doing a lot of drinking. The purpose in that is to expand your horizons, and your horizons may be inner ones. So you're taking loads of huge quantities of mushrooms, you know, to expand your inner horizon. That's also a Sagittarian thing to do. And I agree with you completely about the entrepreneurialism. And one of the reasons that they're good at that is because they will pick themselves up and start all over again. Whereas some other signs will say, oh, I had a failure and then that was kind of it. You know, I didn't carry on. Sagittarius will think, oh, well, I learned from that, because they have this philosophical on with, and they understand that there's a big pattern to things. Well, they understand it in, you know, there's an innate understanding, innate wisdom to the Sagittarius.
And the eternal optimist at their best again. The eternal optimist. Let's something will work. Let's try again. You know, that very much, I agree with that. I think their shadow side, or one of the shadow sides, is that they can be, because they charge into life, they can be incredibly tactless and blunt.
And not very thoughtful, actually, as well, about other people's feelings, you know, really. They sort of bound around, don't they, sort of creating a bit of damage sometimes. Or because they think they're being funny, is actually hurtful. I've seen that one with, you know, so that's speaking from experience, you know, that with it actually being, you know, extravagant gestures and making people laugh, hilarity are not always what's required. I'd agree with that. I mean, I would think the other shadow thing with Sagittarians, and they're not going to like me saying this, is being a complete know-it-all. You know, they know stuff and they want to tell you about it at some length, and they're kind of not going to listen to anything you have to say. You know, that's the shadow side. You know, most Sagittarians aren't like that. But if you find yourself as a Sagittarius, like talking, it's when you take it too far, isn't it? It's this taking it too far, really. And having the other side, you know, one of the things about Sagittarius, you find them as fantastic entrepreneurs. They're also incredibly good at university level kind of lecturing. You find them in universities are just stuffed full of Sagittarians. And that's because of that ability just to talk and talk and talk and talk in a really interesting way. You know, but you have to have the expertise, the Scorpio expertise, to go with that. And they often, just to add to that, I think they often end up working in something that isn't kind of corporate or conventional. I mean, universities is one area, sort of doing their own business is another thing, travel, whatever. But it's kind of, you know, it needs to be something more than too conformist or too ordinary. The only way they'd be in a corporate thing is running it, you know, or in corporate hospitality. Oh, well, true. Hospitality. You do find them in hospitality a lot, because of course this is an incredibly generous sign that welcomes people of all cultures, all places, and likes to bring them together and mix things up and see what happens, you know. So you do find them, like, you know, who would be running the inn if we had, Sally, if we had Zodiac world, so we had a little village, right? That, and each sign was doing something. Sagittarius would be running the inn, or would they be running the stables? I can't decide. Both. They'd be the inn with find the stables. They'd find a way to do both. And they'd be doing quite well at it. They would be the entrepreneurs making lots of money. Yeah, we should do that thing. What about
Zodiac world? Well,
Zodiac
maybe not
world.
in this one.
Yeah,
We'll do that
okay.
in another one. We'll stick just to Sagittarius for now.
Oh, see, I was going all Sagittarian there, thinking too much, big ideas,
getting carried away.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks very much. Bye.